So what's been going on?
I'm just thinking about one of my clients.
What's going on with them?
A lot of their executives are capping out on their 401k contributions. The company wants them to be able to save more, and I just don't know what to tell them.
Well, have you actually ever thought about a non-qualified deferred compensation plan as an option?
A non-qualified plan, isn't that the same as a qualified plan?
Well, it's true that when you have a 401k retirement plan or a qualified plan, that there are limits that are imposed, and that can definitely present a challenge for a highly compensated executive.
Challenge,
Yes.
What do you mean?
Well, for instance, when you have an executive that's relying solely on a 401k plan or Social Security, it's really going to be tough for them to save enough for the retirement years, because if they're highly compensated, those investment vehicles represent a very small percentage of their overall need. So it presents a problem.
Wow, this gap. I mean, that can be quite a shortfall.
It definitely can. It's a problem.
I mean, tell me more. I mean, I guess I don't really quite understand everything about the differences between the qualified and non-qualified. I know that there's statutory limits on how much you can put away, but what else makes these plans different?
Well, one example that comes to mind is whenever an executive makes an election inside of a 401k qualified plan, they can make changes throughout the year if their needs change. But when you have a non-qualified deferred compensation plan, your executive has to make his election only during open enrollment in the year prior, and then he cannot make any changes to that election once his election is in force. So that's definitely a difference.
Oh, wow. That sounds pretty restrictive.
Well, it can be, but there's a trade-off, right? So it's actually what ends up happening is they can complement one another, because the non-qualified deferred compensation plan has some flexibilities that the 401k does not. So it can help offset those.
Well, that's pretty good, but come on, what's the catch?
The biggest difference is that when you have an executive that defers into a non-qualified deferred compensation plan, those dollars remain at risk. So there's a risk of forfeiture that's involved. And that becomes an issue only if the corporation were to need to file bankruptcy for some reason. The participant, in this case the executive, would stand in line like a general creditor then to get their monies out if it actually got to that point.
Well, and why would a company want to do this plan?
Well, actually, that's a great question. Most of my clients will have both, because it's a great way for them to retain, attract, and reward their top executives, and it really does round out a very nice executive benefit plan.
These plans, they complement each other.
Absolutely, just like chocolate and peanut butter.
That's pretty interesting. Thanks for that.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to be late. We need to take off to the meeting.
Okay, let's get going.
Excuse me, how can I learn more?